All right, what is up, y'all? Will here with Schedule Fly. This is the Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast, brought to you by us here at Schedule Fly. Simple web-based restaurant employee scheduling software backed by legendary customer service, and all at a low price point. We have actually never raised our prices in 18 years in business, and we're proud of that. We're not backed by venture capital or private equity. We run this business on our own, so it's a small business, and we take great care of our customers. Schedulefly.com, you will find my personal cell phone number on like 3 pages. This is my phone. It is a flip phone if you're watching. It gets calls, it gets texts. You can call me or text me and try us out, but that's an important part of our ethos. Simple software, human, great customer service, and low price point. 30-day free trial anytime you want. If you were on pencil and paper or Excel, this will make life easier for you, for everybody from the owner to manager to the employees who these days expect to have their schedule at their fingertips, not on a spreadsheet corkboard in the back of the restaurant. If you're on another software, you might be perfectly happy. There's a lot of competitors. You very well may be paying a lot more money than you need to for tools and features that you may not need or use. So we always encourage people. We have a lot of people that come over from other products that end up spending half as much or a third as much, and we've got everything they need. So schedulefly.com, 30-day free trial. Try me out. Call me, text me anytime. You'll get me. Happy to talk. That's Schedulefly. This is Restaurant Owners Uncorked, and this is episode 600 and something. And I'm super thrilled to have 2 guests today who are business partners. And I actually know one of these, the handsome dude with the beard. We go back a long way back, but I don't know this story, and I'm excited to hear this story. And I would like you two, starting with you, Clyde, to just give us a brief introduction of yourself and your concept.
Yeah, great. Happy to. Thanks for having us. Good to see you. So I'm Clyde Harris. I'm one of the co-founders at Village Juice and Kitchen. We've got Lonnie Atkinson here with us. There's a third co-founder that's involved as well. Her husband, Nathan Atkinson, who was my roommate at Wake Forest. My wife has also been involved since the beginning, mainly with more of the decor and the design of the stores, which has always been a big part of who we are. But I'll let Lonnie introduce herself. We can talk about kind of where it all came up with. When I first met Lonnie, it's a funny story, but we were at a music festival in my brother's RV, who you know well. And when the first time I ever met Lonnie, she rolled in with a Vitamix and homemade almond milk, made us smoothies at the festival all weekend, which were very needed and delicious. A couple years later, they reached out and asked me if I want to go on a juicer. So that's how I got here. I've got my own stories, in my past, which involves a battle with cancer. So the idea of getting involved with clean, healthy food, and juice appealed to me. I connected with it. I also really connected with Lonnie's passion for it. And so that's sort of how I got involved, but I'll let Lonnie introduce herself.
All right.
I'm Lonnie Atkinson. Thanks for the intro, Clyde. This is Village Juice and Kitchen was born out of my love and passion for healthy eating. And when I moved home to North Carolina from California for 10 years, I was really excited to share what I had learned. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to share healthy eating, and it had changed my life and all the things that I had learned living out west. And there was nothing really like this here in North Carolina at the time. This was about, I guess we started thinking about it in 2012. And we sold our first juice in 2015. So it was a long time coming. Something I feel really, really passionate about. It's changed my life. Like I said, it also changed my family's life. My mom had gotten sick, and then, all the people that we've met along the way, running Village Juice and Kitchen, and how it's impacted their lives or their families' lives. And it's just been a really cool adventure.
So tell me about what is Village Juice and Kitchen? What is the overarching mission, and what makes you all unique?
So our kind of motto is food that tastes as good as it makes you feel. So we sell everything from salads, cold pressed juices, smoothies, smoothie bowls, wraps, open faced toast. We have this line of plant based desserts and baked goods. Um, and we pride ourselves on having something for everyone and completely customizable, whether you're gluten-free or dairy-free, or, you're just curious about eating better. One of the things that was really important to me was that we source really good, clean ingredients, because they taste better. And that's what I learned living out in California. There's farmers markets every day of the week. And I'm like, God, this food tastes amazing. But it was freshly grown. It hadn't been sitting in a warehouse, and it wasn't sprayed with all the things. And, so it's, getting really fresh food, but also just not cooking it to death. Taking good ingredients and assembling them and combining them in ways, or lightly roasting them and just a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and those types of things. Just not to oversimplify it, but, we kind of cook the food to death and cook all the nutrients out of it. And you
Yep.
can taste that difference. It's why you have to mask it in all of the, fried things and whatnot, because you've cooked all the tastiness out of it. So, I had learned that, and it was, and it also makes you feel really good. That was the other thing, is like, when you just eat it the way it is, not only does it taste good, but it is really good for your body. Your body can tell as you're ingesting it, like, it feels good. I have energy, and my digestive system is working properly. And, as you've been doing it for longer, your skin starts to shine a little brighter, and the whites of your eyes get a little sparkly. I mean, just interesting, weird things like that. And you'll notice, like, my dad, his psoriasis went away by changing certain things in his diet. I mean, the list goes on and on. You are what you eat, and I really dove into that, and that's what Village Juice is just really trying to educate and give people an offering, of really clean, healthy food that they can trust, that tastes good, and it's not boring. A lot of the healthy food that was out there was just really, you know, bland, or was cardboardy, or just, mismarketed, as healthy food, and it wasn't truly healthy. So I think that's what we're trying to do, is our mission is just trying to show people that fresh, vegetables and fruits and things can be really filling and really interesting and good for you. So
Yeah, for sure. Well, boy, are we starting to learn a lot about autoimmune issues and health issues that so many people have, particularly, those of us that have been around a little longer. I mean, I'm 51 now, and, I just, in our family and friends and what, I mean, just,
yeah,
for the last, you know, couple of decades, you start to understand that there really is a very, very distinct correlation between what you put in your body and how your body reacts and how you feel, and whether that's
yeah,
how you feel, like whether you have maybe psoriasis, or whether you may have brain fog, or, I mean, there's just all kinds of things. And it's that gut brain connection that it's nice to see. And I want to dive into a little bit deeper into this, and like the types of ingredients you use and so forth, because, we, we want, food, we want convenient food, right? Like,
hmm,
as a culture, that's very clear. But so much of that convenient food is not really good for us, at different scales. Like
right,
McDonald's is probably one extreme, and then there's also the aspect of, I find this to be an interesting part, and I want to talk to you about this, is like, I view eating healthy and putting good, what can be expensive food into my body as an investment, because as
right,
I aged, I mean, I barely ever go to the doctor now. I barely ever get sick. But when I was younger and kind of ate crap, I got sick all the time, or I had, I feel like there's this short-term, cost that leads to a long-term great return on investment when you think about, like, if you're not eating healthy and you are spending a lot of time missing work, sick, going to doctors, not feeling well, not having energy. Like, I can't calculate that cost, but it's way, way more than like the savings you get for eating cheap food. So my whole point here is, I'm going to guess if I go to Village Juice and Kitchen, it's not going to, I'm going to spend more than I'm going to spend if I go to Taco Bell, but I'm going to get something that, again, it's an investment into my health and my well-being and my longevity. I'm assuming that's kind of the message y'all
Yeah.
trying to create.
Yeah, I think so. And I think there's a little bit of a misconception just in cost. I mean, I think most of the market is probably caught up now with where we are in price, because people are
Yeah.
price sensitivity across the board has just changed. I think we were considered a higher cost, but now, I mean, you look at going to Chick-fil-A even, and we're sometimes less expensive. You know what I mean? So, and the value for what you're actually getting,
Yeah.
you're getting this massive bowl of fruits and vegetables and grains and proteins, and it's basically 2 meals for what you can get, just a small little chicken and sides, or, that's
Mhm.
just an example. So I think when you see there's the value there, and, on top of that, you're, like you're saying, you're buying into your future,
Yep.
essentially. So
I think sometimes people, when they think of us as expensive, is because, obviously the cold pressed juice, it has a cost. And I mean, when there's 4 or 5 pounds of produce going into it, into the bottle, that there's a cost there. I mean, it's probably less than what it would be if you made it yourself. But if you buy a $9 juice and then you get lunch, of course your lunch is gonna be $20-$25, which does seem expensive, but you've got to kind of look at the juice a little bit differently. If you were just to come in and get a wrap, or a salad, our menu from smoothies to salads to wraps is like $9 to $14. So I mean, it's not crazy expensive. If you throw a juice in there, yeah, I mean, it's gonna get you. But when you get like if you get a wrap from us, you've got organic chicken, you've got organic spinach, you've got organic heirloom tomatoes, you've got ranch dressing that we make ourselves. We make all the dressings ourselves, and so that's sort of, there's a little bit of education, but usually after people have been in, they get it. And I hear, honestly, to echo what you said, Will, like, people come in and say that they like to invest their money into better food, and we've got a lot. We get these regulars who come in every day, and that it's really important to them, and they have a grain bowl or an acai bowl. And some of them, maybe they quit drinking alcohol and they've taken that, what they spent on alcohol, and they put it into better food. And so we totally see that. And of course we've got the customer who comes in and gets, like Lonnie said, it's really something for everybody. So there's a customer who still comes in and gets chicken bacon avocado wrap with a side of chips, but again, the stuff's sourced better. It's better ingredients. We compare it to Taco Bell, I mean, it's night and day. I mean, that's not even food. That's all chemicals. I mean, our
Yeah.
menu is almost entirely whole foods that are put together. And so, yeah, that was really something that was big for us. I always like telling people when they come in, if you look at the original Village Juice and sort of Lonnie's vision, it was obviously the cold pressed juices. We started as a farmer's market concept, just selling juice. And then we added some of these raw, plant-based snacks that are incredible. And we've now named them after Lonnie's dad, who helped us do it. His name's Billy. So we call all the desserts Billy Cakes. It's sort of like a secondary brand for us. But we've got a great lineup, and it's evolved, and we've added more, but it really is kind of something for everybody. And so, that's sort of what our brand is too, is just, if you're gluten free, we got that. If you're a vegan, we've got that. If you're, you just want a good wrap that's got some good ingredients in it, we got that too. So that's I think there's been an evolution of the brand where it's gone from just really being more perceived as a vegetarian, vegan kind of concept to more of the food's great, it's reasonably priced, and it's kind of something for everybody.
Yeah, locally sourced whole foods, good quality. Okay, so your first location was 2015? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
so we started, like I was saying, we started in the farmers market. Well, Lonnie really started, and she could tell you, but she was making juices at home, literally with like a baby strapped to her, like, and a little like small juicer, and was just, coming up with different formulas and sending them out to friends for blind taste tests and developing those juices. But that evolved into a farmer's market concept. We just couldn't keep up with the demand, and we went to a larger juicer, rented some commercial kitchen space. This would have been in like 2015. In 2016, we opened our first restaurant location, and it was really fun the way we did it because we'd all worked at restaurants, but no one ever owned a restaurant. No one came from restaurant families. Like, we literally didn't know if it was going to work or not. So we did a lot of the stuff ourselves. Lonnie's dad and I built the tables, and we didn't even know how to build tables, but we built the tables and benches and shelves and all the stuff, and which actually gave a really kind of cool feel to the place. But we opened that restaurant, and what was really neat about it is that all the construction was like, from, if you walk into the space, it was 10 feet back. So we threw up a temporary wall and lined it with like 1x6s, and then had a door on it. And then we did the construction in the back, but we were selling the juice out of the front, almost like a pop up. And so it
Nice.
was fun for our customers who kind of followed us from the farmer's market to a little food truck that we had, and then to this little pop up. And then there's all this banging going on in the back, and they're building the restaurant. And then all of a sudden the wall comes down, there's a restaurant. And, we kind of rolled out the menu. We didn't know, just from an operational standpoint, we had to kind of ease into the menu. So, we started with certain things like the smoothies, and then we added the toast, and then we added the salads, and, maybe not in that exact order, but we kind of staggered it out so that we could kind of learn as we went. And then, just we're really fortunate to have great customers and great community support for what we were doing. And it just kind of took off, and it was really one of the most exciting times, I think, for the company, was that first restaurant opening, which is, a scary,
Yeah.
exciting thing to do. Even when we just opened in Raleigh, it's as scary as it is exciting, but that's part of the business, I guess.
Well, we're going to dive into that a little bit. How many locations do you have now?
So
We
we
have two
have
corporate
7 locations. Go ahead, Lonnie.
No, it's okay.
So there's 7 locations, 2 are ours. So
Okay.
the Winston-Salem location, we own and operate. The Raleigh location, which we just opened a couple months ago, we own and operate that. And then in 2019, someone came up to us. They were looking to franchise a similar concept. They came in, tried the food, kind of saw the whole vibe and everything. They loved it. They ended up opening a franchise in Charlotte. And then we also were approached after we opened the one in Winston. The kids from Wake Forest just started piling in there, and that, that kind of alerted Wake Forest, Elon, and so we ended up licensing it to Elon and Wake Forest. About that times when Nate and I quit, I was in real estate development. Nate was a career litigating attorney. We jumped ship, went full-time restaurant business to help Lonnie out, who was running the ship at the time. And of course, right in time for COVID. So we rode that out for a couple years. And then we opened another school at USC. And then last year we opened one at High Point. So there's 7 total. 4 of them are on college campuses, and those are they're like franchises. They're like license deals with the school. So there's those 4. There's the one franchise at Optimus Food Hall in Charlotte, and there's a great couple that runs that, and they're doing a great job. And then we have the 2 ourselves, which is in, the 2 are in Winston-Salem and Raleigh.
I love the college model. That's interesting. By the way, we all know what you're talking about when you say USC. this is a national audience. A lot of people think University of Southern California, but us Southerners refer to USC as the University of South Carolina, just to
Correct.
make that clear.
You stretch. We've had USC come in playing Wake Forest, and like the whole team's come in for lunch. And then I think even like the coach was like, "Man, I wish we had something like this in town," which is obviously a compliment. And we can talk about it later, but we do a ton with athletic programs, pregame meals, smoothies or juices for practice during snacks. But over the past several years, it's been amazing to see how these teams, and they kind of sought us out. And now, now we're in Raleigh, like, oh, we're playing state. Well, we'll get Village Juice. But I mean, we do a lot of pregame meals, and even, last weekend, like, what was it, Lonnie? Like Massachusetts, UMass was in town, and the hotel wouldn't let them deliver food, so they just like invaded like our restaurant, filled up the whole restaurant, ate breakfast, played against Wake Forest, and then they all came back for lunch after the game and before they headed back. So the college thing, the students, the college athletics has been great for us for sure.
Well, all right, y'all. So you got two that you own. You've got the franchise. You got college licenses. So this is like I'm assuming, I mean, this is an entrepreneurial process of like trial and error and iteration, figuring out like what's the path. Like, so what is the path? What's the
Sure.
look like with growth?
Well, we
Path
love.
has evolved over the years, and it had one trajectory, a couple years ago, and it's kind of evolved as COVID and as we've learned a lot of things. I think our current path right now is to open more corporate stores in North Carolina. We're wanting to expand our corporate footprint. That's been successful for us. I think that's our most strong path. We are also open to opening franchise locations. If if it makes sense geographically, in the right area, but we'd like to grow from our home base outward so that we can support, those stores. I think, we make all of the salad dressings and the Billy Cake desserts. Those are proprietary items to Village Juice. But each store will make their own cold pressed juice. So we'd like to be able to support them and grow, where we can grow intelligently for right now while we're still small, and we can support those places as we're learning.
So is it hard? Is it more challenging to support, like, I don't know, USC or whatever, because it's multiple hours away, or like, what are the challenges with the university licensing?
I mean, I think the challenge is, obviously distance can be a challenge. I mean, we've pretty much figured that out as far as our routes and our delivery days and that kind of thing. I mean, I think one of the challenges is just their school year is fractured. So, we're a corporate store is, we have our standard hours all year long. With some holidays, we have a big dip in time where there's no students. And so, managing that. And then if they have staff turnover during that time, because those people aren't necessarily full time, then we're retraining. So some of that, just so that we can keep the brand standards. There's a lot of retraining and that kind of thing. But the nice part about it is that it's run by the schools. They do all their own hiring and all of that kind of stuff. So, there's pros and cons, obviously, to both. But, just maintaining the brand quality and standards and that kind of thing, I think is probably our most important and sometimes most challenging thing, just with the turnover and just not being there all the time. But we do have a team of people. It's a really great manager who oversees all the school locations and checks in with them and travels to them regularly and helps to retrain and get those scheduled, so that we can hold, that standard to what we want.
Yeah, and the person Lonnie's talking about actually was an Airmark employee at Elon. She opened Elon and was there for 20 years. So great add to our team. From the experience level, she's an amazing operator, but she's also got that background with the university kind of food program. So that she really added some depth to our bench. But like, to kind of go to your question too, the challenge and the reason we really decided to focus on growth in North Carolina, we didn't want to get over our skis and say, oh, let's go franchise in New Jersey or Florida, because we've actually had these opportunities and we got together, this year and really talked about it. And it's like, what is our most responsible way to grow this business? And controlling that growth, controlling the operations, controlling, the first impressions of Village Juice are really important. And
Yep.
so we'll just really focus on some corporate stores. If a school comes up, great. We're really actually kind of diving into the hospital thing. We think that's a really strong market for us. We've got a deal signed with UNC Health right now. We're just looking for a good location on their campus. But it's more about really a little more intentional, focused growth in North Carolina, and then before, and not just let go of the reins and all of a sudden have people 4 states away opening Village Juices that it would be almost impossible to support and really stay on top of, because to Lonnie's point too, is as we have these schools, we also have an audit program. So we're coming in, we're checking in regularly, with those teams, but we're also making the visits, but we come in quarterly and do audits. And then there's a whole criteria of what we look at, make sure they're buying the right ingredients, make sure, the quality of the food's up to brand standards, the customer experience is up to brand standards, all the things. And so it's easier to do that at our size. I mean, we want to grow and want to get bigger, but we're currently not a massive corporation with tons of people, all over, regions and this, that, and the other. We're based out of Winston-Salem. So, we can support these schools within a couple of hours, but to go, open something in California would be really tough for us right now to do it right.
Well, I'm proud of y'all for having the sticking to your values and what's important to you. That's very clear to me that this is not what you sometimes see. And you had a company in your space that I watched this happen, where it grew very quickly, a lot of franchises and massive growth, private equity exit, brand collapsing, franchisees screwed over, right? Like that happens. Like it happens more than it should when somebody's like, look, we can just, this is a money grab, right? We got something hot, tiger by the tail. Let's go just grow this thing like crazy, get a bunch of franchise fees, exit, let somebody else deal with it. And it sucks because, it's, we won't even get into that, but you see it happening. It's very abundantly clear to me that you all are very intentional about this. And that's awesome, because you're actually really trying to build something meaningful in the communities that you're in. Now you just mentioned hospitals. I want to explore that a little bit, because I am totally baffled.
Yeah.
When I go to a hospital, my mom's, Clyde, I know you mentioned you've had cancer. My mom's going through chemo. And I'm like, wait a minute. We have these people that are clearly not in good health if they're in a hospital, and we're serving them like horrible food. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
It's mind boggling. I mean, I get it. It's like Western medicine and all this stuff, but like, that's gotta freaking change. Like, we've got to be like people that, are in poor health need to be at least nourished properly. So I'm curious, when you mentioned hospitals, I'm curious. I know it's gonna be like the cafeteria for the hospital, but like what, and also, by the way, when you go visit somebody in a hospital, it's like,
well, yeah, there's
I get a bag of chips and a Coke. Like what?
And the staff. I mean, I think these hospitals, the majority of their businesses are the staff. And so, yeah, when I was going through cancer, it was kind of funny. You go down to the cafeteria in the cancer center, and it's Chick-fil-A, Panda Express, Starbucks, and like Burger King. And it's kind of like, that it kind of blew my mind. I think there's a lot of opportunity for us in that. And I think it's the patients, it's the visitors, and it's the staff. They're wanting it, and I think like you said, we don't think like what we're doing is trendy. We think it's more of a shift and what we're doing. So it's not really, we're not following a trend. We're following a shift, or we're part of a shift. And I think it's like, smoking cigarettes, like, less people smoke cigarettes than they ever have. That's not coming back. You know what I mean? Like it's only going to keep going away. But, we've looked at, several hospitals, and we're actually working with a group with some ties to the North Carolina Hospital Association. Hospitals are like ideal for us, and similar to a college, probably and the opportunity and the revenue and all that, but we don't have to worry about that summer break and Christmas break and all that kind of stuff. So it's a year round thing, which is great. It also, like we were talking about, our brand, it really is something for everybody. So, we tell schools and hospitals, this is like a solution, because you've got someone who's gluten-free, we got them. You got someone who's a vegetarian, we got them. And so I think Village Juice kind of solves a lot of problems, or, gives solutions for people when it comes to dietary preferences. But, yeah, we're excited about the hospital. I mean, the reality is it's got to be big enough to support us and our brand. There got to be enough people coming through, enough beds, enough employees, for it to make sense. So as we're really digging into to that vertical, we're looking at, the top 4 biggest hospitals in the state to start with. And if, those pilots go well for us, then, we could maybe look either to something a little bit smaller, or maybe something, out of state, but close by, that we could, as we talked about, like supporting it and like that. But the hospitals just seem like a natural, growth direction for our business.
So you were in real estate development before?
I was, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a good skill set to have as you start figuring out
Yeah.
growth and like, where do you plant the next? I mean, outside of hospitals or whatever, like, I'm curious, like, where's the Raleigh was the most recent one you just opened?
Raleigh's most recent. So
Raleigh
we're
is.
on Glenwood Avenue. When you come off 440 and come inside the 440 Beltline, it's basically the first left as you come into Glenwood. It's called Glenwood Place.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're in there with some other. It's more. There's no chains. It's all local concepts that are in there. You've got the local market, the local sushi guy. There's a ramen place opening up, a gym, things like that. It's not a big giant shopping center. It's more of like a mixed use. But yeah, so that we're in there, and it's a great space. And like, it's kind of like everyone we build, we learn something, or we do it a little different. So we've done some little tweaks here, like operationally, we moved what we call our toast station, where they're making toasts and wraps and breakfast burritos. We've moved that out front. So all the food on the menus being prepared in front of the customers, and that sort of gives us the ability to control our labor as well, because you just don't have guys sitting in the back waiting for an order. Kind of everyone's up front doing it. But yeah, there's as we've evolved our menu. Can you hear my dog barking very loudly?
Nah, you're
Okay,
good, man.
good.
What kind of dog do you have?
Got an English setter and a dachshund.
Oh, nice. Is
Yeah.
it the Dachshund? Little yappy dog?
Yeah, that's him, Bubba.
Yeah, we got one of those.
I'm assuming I got someone knocking on the door, but
Nah,
anyway,
you're good, man.
yeah, but the restaurant itself, as the menus evolve, so have I mean, it's been an evolution throughout the past decade. The menu, the growth trajectory, and also sort of the operations and the layout of these restaurants. So, I mean, we're obviously still learning, and there's probably a lot to go. And I would imagine the next 10 years we'll even see more changes. And but as long as we maintain our kind of core values, we're always good to improve, but not like just totally sell out, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Well, do you have do you have outside investors? Did y'all fund this yourself, or?
No, we were self-funded to begin with. As we grew, we did raise some growth capital. So we do have, and it was more friends and family. So we haven't done like a big equity round with with private equity or anything like that. It's been, more friends and family and supporters. And we've raised some capital through that. We've actually, even recently, when we came up with the decision to really focus on our corporate store growth primarily, we also sort of changed our vision on how to achieve that with raising capital. So we've gone from targeting a larger amount through an equity round to just raising a smaller amount of capital to kind of cover operations over the next 12 to 18 months. And then just fund each store with individual investors. So instead of going out and going for $5 million, say, we're looking at, a smaller raise for some just operational capital. But then every time we open a location, we'll put together a group of investors for that location, and kind of we decided to take that approach with the kind of shift and really focusing on the corporate stores as well.
Wouldn't that leave you with more equity then? And like if you went and did a big raise and had private equity involved, like you would probably give up more equity and ultimately more control, I would guess, in those types of situations.
100%. Yep. Yeah. That saves us equity and control. So that was an important part of making the decision as well.
Good, measured, smart. You guys are doing great, man. You're making really good decisions. I'm not that I know what I'm talking about, but when I've talked to so many restaurant owners on this podcast for so many years, I've just learned a lot about what seems to work and, short-term decisions versus long, and like measured growth. And like, I look at like, even the, how am I drawing a blank on his name? Do you all know, Biscuit Bill, right?
Mm-hmm.
They, I had him on the podcast. How can I not remember his name? Anyway, they grow 10% a year, right? Like, very deliberate. Like, we are like, if we have 80 stores, then we will not add any more than 8 next year. Once we get to 90, we won't. So it's
interesting
because they could just but they're real disciplined. And I thought that was a great lesson because obviously, Biscuit, he's like third gen. They've been around forever, right? But like, there's only like 80 of them now. You would think if they've been around for 40 or 50 years, there should be hundreds, but they're real specific. I just thought that was a good lesson.
Yeah, and they're privately owned, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blake Jennings.
That's smart. It's just especially if you know your customer. And I think that's where we kind of reined ourselves in was, the opportunities are unlimited, right? Like, especially when you have this, you're like, oh, well, you could go here. The things that pop up, and you can't chase every rabbit down the hole. And so we had to really hone in on who our customer is, where they live, what's the best opportunity. We're still a niche, restaurant business, and we want to do what we do really well and serve the people that want us, and we can't be everywhere, and so I think really reining that in and being really intentional was probably one of the most important decisions we've made. And I like that you said that. It makes sense for Biscuitville. That they're clearly doing something right. So
yeah. Different concept, different all that stuff, but like, it's a good business lesson. And the other thing that, I talk about this a lot when I talk to other business owners. Taking away often is better than adding. And like there's this story about like when Michelangelo made David, and they're like, how did you make him? He's like, you start with this big block, right? And he's like, well, it's easy. I just took away everything that wasn't David. I thought that was cool idea. Like, not making something, but taking away everything it isn't, so that you get down to the perfect thing that it is. And you all are going through that process. Like, you've tried, and you're like, okay, you're narrowing down to like, what, like, cause it's easy to get distracted. It's easy. Oh, we could do this. We could do that. And then you're like, not great at anything. You're kind of good at a lot of things.
Right.
And that's more stressful and harder to manage than just being like, we are locked in. We are focused. We know our product. We know our audience. We know where these things need to go. We've got measured growth. And like you're doing a lot of things really well, y'all. I would like,
thanks, man.
Sign me up when you were doing one in Charlotte or something. I want to be on on the team here, man. I'd love to be a part of that. I think you've got a great thing going. And I would be a customer too. I didn't know you were in Charlotte. Optimus Hall is, that's over like kind of north of town, right?
North Davidson, Noda. Yep. Yeah. It's that newer food hall that's up there. It's a really cool food hall. And it's
is Bodiwala there? It's like Indian street food out of Asheville.
Yep.
I think I've seen that. Yep.
That's Marijuana's group. Okay, I know where
there's a lot of what were food trucks that this was their first concept. So a lot of like Papi Queso and some of those places that were really popular in Charlotte. Just food
Yes.
trucks, and this is kind of their first.
And that was a great learning experience. I mean, Elon was the first, what we call like express location, where Stratford, when I say Stratford, I mean our first location in Winston-Salem on Stratford Road. Stratford was 2,000 feet. We kind of had in our head, it needs to be 2,000 feet. Well, then when Elon approached us, they said, hey, you got 600 feet. And we're like, well, you can't do it, And then it's like, well, we've got some shared kitchen space for the walk-in and the prep and the dish. And so all of a sudden we kind of just took sort of our front of house and some of the back house and crammed it all together. And it did amazing. And then all of a sudden we were like, wow, you can do this. And so that was the exercise at Optimus Hall with Charlotte. It's 550 square feet, and it has everything, but they do, it's all takeout. So you don't have to worry about like a big dish area, but they have, I mean, that is the most efficient probably Village Juice we've got at 550 square feet with prep, food prep, retail sales. Obviously it's communal seating around it, but it is tiny. I mean, to put one in 550 square feet, the one at, we've talked to another hospital group and we've got a location there picked out, and that one is like 200 square feet. And so that will be if we can pull that one off, that will be our smallest, but it's completely you got to have the supporting kitchen to do it. And so, but it's kind of fun. And we've played with equipment packages and, hoodless versus hood and electric versus gas. And so we've kind of over the years learned how to like make it work kind of in anything. So that's, especially with the schools and we've, it's like, well, this is a space. And we've also learned like to ask at the beginning, do you have a grease trap? Because we'll get down the road and then they're like, oh, there's no grease trap. And we're like, well, how can we run a restaurant without a grease trap?
Well, it's really funny. We're like, we're cold pressed juice. Why do we need a grease trap? And they're like, that's just the rule. You have to have a grease trap. But
Yeah. Wow.
there was a lot of things that we learned, all the things you don't know that you don't know, you find out really quickly when you're opening a restaurant,
Oh, there's so many things to do in a restaurant. I mean, I tip my hat to y'all. I tip my hat to everybody that comes on this podcast. I'll be honest with you. I started this podcast 15 years ago, and my thought was, all right, I'm going to learn from all these good restaurant owners what it takes to be a successful restaurant owner, because I want my own restaurant one day. Like, I mean, that was it. And then it didn't take me that long to realize, like, hell no. Like, you have to have it in you. Y'all have it in you. I can hear it. It's coming out. It's like, but it's got to be like, because what y'all are not, you clearly just are so used to this. You're not hair on fire about this, but like running a restaurant is freaking crazy. The amount of things that happen every single freaking day, like literal fires, metaphorical fires, somebody quits, this equipment broke. Like it's nonstop. It's all
daily,
every day. And if you don't have like, I'm convinced of this. This is one thing I do know is like, I haven't owned a restaurant, but I can tell anybody that's going to own a restaurant now from doing this podcast long enough and serving this industry long enough, you better have a servant's heart in there that really wants to serve your community. Because if you don't have that and you think just because you make good juice or good smoothies that you can run a restaurant, you got a thing coming. Because there's a big difference between being able to do that for your friends and your family and your home and like taking that and putting that at scale into a physical property and hiring employees and dealing with, I mean, every bit of the economy flows through a restaurant. You have to be an accountant. You have to be a manager. You have to be a visionary. You have to be I'll be there mopping the floor at 3 a.m. if I have to, or unclogging the toilet. I mean, what's his name? Drew Moore over in, he's in Carborough, and Drew owns like Venable Bistro and Auto Stratus and places over there. And he's like, I call restaurant owners the CEO of, toilet repair. He's like, dude, I buy toilet handles in bulk. Like, he's like, it's like, you got to do all that stuff, right? And sometimes, I mean, you obviously hire teams for that, but like a lot of times, like you have to do it because I was just by the way, Clyde, I was with your brother Clark at Virtuoso Bakery here in Waxhaw this morning, and Lauren, the owner, was just telling me how she had two bakers quit back to back she's in there, 3:00.
That's funny.
And
Yeah,
hustling.
everything you mentioned is, I mean, literally sinks, faucets falling off sinks this week, coolers going down, randomly power going out, having to move stuff. I mean, we're moving juice into ice coolers of ice. I mean,
The restaurant flooding.
yeah, flooding, sewer backing up through the floor drains. I mean, there's a gazillion. I joke, I completely agree with you. I'm like, you got to have a good location that has a cool vibe. You got to have good food that's consistent. It's got to come out timely. It's got to be priced right. You got to do all these things, and then you got to manage your labor and your, food costs on top of it, and then you got to do your marketing. I mean, there are a million moving parts that have to, and they all have to come together and work, or else it doesn't work. And any little place you're off can really cause major problems. But you got to have some channel locks so you can tighten up your sinks when your faucets when they fall off.
That's right.
I think hiring has been, having the right team. Like, we have just been so fortunate, and I count my blessings every single day. We just have always, even back from the very beginning, just had amazing employees. Some stayed with us for a really, really long time. And in this industry, that's a really hard thing to do. It's, a stepping stone career for a lot of people, or, while they're just figuring it out. And so, we've just been really lucky to retain the talent that we've had, and to have people that have come and stayed with us longer than they had planned because they loved what we were doing. And I believe in treating people really well and taking care of them, and they'll take care of your restaurant. And I don't think enough restaurants do that, to be honest. I've worked in a ton of restaurants and got treated like garbage. And I swore to myself, if I ever owned a restaurant, that I would do it the complete opposite and care about the people and care that they had a life outside of that. And I think we're doing pretty good at it. But I do think that's really important, and I hope more restaurants will get on board with that.
Amen. Could not agree more. And it's a smart business practice. Like, take great care of your people so you're not dealing with turnover, which is expensive and causes like, take great care of them.
Yeah.
And
they'll take care of you if you
take care of you and your customers.
Yeah. And it's always great when people give reviews. It's like, the food is great, love the fresh. The staff is so friendly, and that trickles down. It's how we treat our managers, how the managers treat the staff. And we're just, like Lonnie said, shout out to our whole team. They're amazing people who work for us, and they're all really great. And we've got this really friendly, customer friendly vibe. And that is part of our brand too, is like, when you come in, you're going to get smiling faces and, welcome to Village Juice, and not so much as like welcome to Moe's, but like, it's being greeted, it's being smiled at, it's, how can I help you? And I think that's just a big part of who we are, is that really kind of friendly. And we get people, they write a review and talk about how great the staff is, or someone's like, man, who like, where did you find your staff? Like, they're so friendly, it's
all the time.
They're amazing. These people are they're incredible that are in these restaurants. So, we're super grateful for our team.
Or, God, they look like they're having so much fun. What are you feeding them?
Giving them healthy food, right? So they feel good. Well, y'all, I got to wrap this up. I'd like to talk a whole lot longer, and maybe we'll do another episode one day when you've opened some more. But I got to tell you, I'm proud of you. I'm grateful for y'all coming on here. I think you're building an incredible business. Thank you for building a business that is giving people the nourishment that, I just so desperately believe that we need way more than a lot of people recognize now. I do think you're ahead of a long trend, right? Like, people are, like you said, they don't smoke as much. They're drinking less. They're exercising more. There's more conversation now about what we're putting in our bodies than there ever has been. That's a good thing for our culture, and it's a great thing for your business and your growth. So I appreciate y'all a lot for coming on here and sharing this today.
Thank you, Will.
Really,
thanks for having us, Will.
You bet. And those of you listening, 5-star rating, Lonnie, CP, Clyde, get on there, man. We need little 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That gets us in front of more people. More episodes coming soon, everybody. Thank you all for listening, watching. We appreciate you, and we're grateful to have a chance to share these stories. Thank y'all. See ya. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
You bet. See ya.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.